I figured it out. They're turtle shells. Okay, you caught me. I was joking. It's what the kids call clickbait, okay? The whole thing, I just... Let me have a joke.
Hey, kid. Yeah, you. Everyone thinks toys are fun, but this is a channel for adults. Yeah, I said it. If you're under the age of 18, go get your parents before you come in here. If you're under the age of 13, scram! Let's get on with the show.
I don't talk about it very often, and for the life of me, I cannot figure out why. But when they were in their heyday, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were huge in my life. By the time I had, really dug into collecting the toys, I was into high school, and I didn't care. I didn't actually stop buying those toys until I was well into my sophomore year of high school. And the only reason I really stopped was because the characters I wanted, like April O'Neil, for example, were just very difficult to find, and the new characters that they were putting out in the line didn't really appeal to me for some reason. But I remember back in 87, 88, seeing that cartoon, getting hooked, and within, maybe a couple months at the most, I got my first ever Turtles figure. You guessed it, Michelangelo was my first ever Ninja Turtles figure. Now, of course, this isn't the one. This is the relatively recent Playmates reissue of that same figure. We're going to go over these in detail here in this video, but I want to take the opportunity to talk a little bit more about my association with the Turtles so you know where I'm coming from. To my recollection, I got Mikey, Don, Leo, and Raph in that order. Part of the reason that I remember that order is because I ended up getting Leo was also a soft head, but they were starting to do some reissues at that point. His sword was really, really, really bendy, which I didn't like at the time. Don was a soft head as well, no problems there. But by the time I got to Raphael, he was a hard plastic head, which was that, I don't know if it's considered Wave 2 or a reissue or whatever they would call it at the time, because they did keep Turtles in the line for a bit. But I did have a hard head Raphael. And that was the only turtle I had in the original 4 that had that. And I did get some of the later turtles. My favorites were the storage shell turtles. Not because of the storage, although that was neat. It was easy to keep your accessories. It was the face sculpts on the storage shell turtles. Still probably my favorite head sculpts for the classic Playmates Ninja Turtle stuff. I still look at them and I kind of go, do I want them? Do I want them? Do I want them? But I'm not there yet, because the reason I'm into these turtles now that have been reissued is that they are almost a perfect one-to-one for the original classic turtle designs that I fell in love with, as an adolescent. I was into the cartoon. When I discovered the comic, I fell head over heels in love. And although I much preferred the comic depiction of the characters, when the movie came out, it was closer to the comic but retained some of the fun elements of the cartoon. That was it. That first movie really was like, all right, I'm in, and it's cool to like them. I never worried about it being cool, but when the movie came out and it wasn't just a G-rated kids movie, I felt a little validated in my, and pardon the phrase, fandom or love of these characters. So I hung on to it for a couple more years. The only reason I got rid of the toys, and for once this was my decision, was that by this point I was getting into playing the drums. Drum stuff is expensive, and I needed the money. Point blank, I needed the money. Sorry, free market. Sold them at just below retail value because I kept my toys really, really nice. And I sold pretty much all of them for a pretty nice penny and got myself some much needed drum equipment that, as many of you know, I went on to be a professional drummer for a while, so it all worked out in the end. And having these classic turtles, it's a nice callback to, well, a simpler time before drums. Now, I know Playmates has a weird history with the Turtles, and reusing molds and sculpts and stuff like that. On the live streams, I've talked about these new comic accurate turtles that they're mixing with Stranger Things for no apparent reason. The sculpts on those are really good. They appear to be new, and I'm very interested in them. But these classic turtles, as for the price point, which is less than a Motu Origins figure at the time of this recording, there was no reason not to do it. And I was already in there. I said, I can just have the 4 turtles. I'll be fine. Take a wild guess how long that stayed true. Spoilers, not long. I managed to get a really good price on a Party Wagon, which is also a reissue from Playmates. So I grabbed it, I received it, I was happy, you know, but then I started wondering, where are the rest of the characters? And this is a double-edged sword for me. I really don't like the sculpts of the Foot Soldiers, Shredder, Krang, pretty much anybody in the Villains or Rogue Gallery aside from Bebop, Rocksteady, Rat King, and maybe Leatherhead. Well, Baxter Stockman's not too bad either, but we only got him in fly form. My point being that by and large, most of the, the key characters didn't quite translate. I liked Splinter, but he looked more like a hamster than a rat to me for some reason. And again, Shredder with his always bent legs and all this stuff, and the colors weren't cartoon accurate. It really bothered me. And they didn't release Krang's android body until much later in the line, and he was impossible to find. There were a lot of problems with the original toy line, in my opinion. But I loved them all the same. But not having them all, and with this particular line, it doesn't look like they're going to be reissuing a bunch of stuff from it. So it kind of leaves me in a limbo. The Classics line, which they've been reissuing several times. In fact, I have a full set of the Classics 2-packs on the way. So I'll have all 4 Turtles, Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, and a Triceraton. I'm not really sure why they didn't go with an April or a Splinter in there, but they had to keep their villain thing going. Would have been nice to see a Krang in there, but I digress. I know that those sculpts have been reused a bunch of times, but they look great to me, and those are going to be probably my de facto Turtles moving forward, as they're going to be easier to scale with other mix and matches from lines, and I hope that they will continue to push that version forward. But with the price point of the classic reissues, it was a no-brainer to have them, so if nothing else worked out, I had Turtles. And that's the main reason that I bought them. That's why I have them. Yes, I'm going to get them out of the packaging during this video, I might add. But with that said, I do have some reservations about them continuing in that direction. I fully am down the road of they need Origins level features, which the Classics line does appear to have. And there's going to be people in the comments saying that those suck and all these other versions of the line suck and there's too many of this, and I agree. Too many versions of the Turtles out there, there's no consistency, and it's hard to collect the characters you want. I agree. But I'm rediscovering Turtles here, so give me a minute to be excited, because I am so excited to finally open these Turtles. Mikey is my first one, so I'll be opening him first. But before I do that, I want to call your attention to the fact that this packaging is 1-to-1 dead-on accurate from the original. The only noticeable difference is this Nickelodeon patch up here. That's it. Everything else, from my recollection, is spot on from the originals, through and through. And that is such a kick in the nostalgia. And as I recall, the Ninja Turtles were the first line that I started collecting the card backs on. I had the card backs all the way up to when I sold them, which was part of my selling point at the yard sale that I did it at. But let's get them open and check them out. So right away, these bubbles are really easy to get off because it's just one big square. So it makes life very easy for you if you're trying to preserve. Card back is still very beautiful. Love it. In here, we're met with more relatively simple packaging, and even with the crush that is experienced from the shipping on this one, it's not bad. Just a little twisty tie here. Comes right out. Now you have your turtle, which in my case is belt's falling off. But just like the original, pretty easy to get back on there. I tried to pull the sprig out, not realizing there's a tie in here, and I'm really hitting myself. Now once the tie's gone, it comes right out, but already the sprig is broken with the nunchaku. This brings me to an important point. I will not be taking weapons off of sprigs for this review because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, and the fact that they are notoriously brittle and easy to break. Let's look at Mikey himself. Nearly indetectable from the original in my estimation. Looks the part. Seems a bit more flexible than the original because of this type of plastic they're using, and that's not a bad thing. Looks great. Does the thing. Foot peg hole, meat foot peg. And his belt came off again. But there you go, Michelangelo on his stand. And these are DJ's The Man Turtle custom stands, which if you look in the description, there's a special exclusive code for 15% off 2 purchases from him through January. Check it out. Now, with the rest of these, I am just going to open them because the story is the same for all the card backs. They're exactly the same. They look great. Let's get them open. Oh, and this DVD set, pretty good stuff. The transfers aren't perfect, but you can get this for around $30 US, and you do get every single episode and some great special features. Hoping for a Blu-ray, but for the price, this works. Here are the Turtles. Here are their card backs. Raph, Mikey, Donatello, and Leonardo. Everything I said about Mikey is the same about these figures. They look spot on to me. They're all hard plastic, but a little bit more flexible than the originals, which means they might last longer. However, the weapons being so flexible and flimsy, I really don't recommend them. Let me guess. You want to see that, don't you? You got it. Now, full disclosure, I already opened this on a live stream a couple weeks ago, and I'll be releasing the video of that later. But I do want to show those of you who haven't seen this yet or just want to hear some basic thoughts on it, what it's like. Once again, a perfect one-to-one for the original Playmates release with the exception of a Nickelodeon logo on the back. And there it is. This is really easy to take out and equally easy to rebox. As long as you don't fully put it together. You see the instructions taped to this fin? It's almost a harbinger of this far, no further. The rest of the accessories can be taken out with relative ease. Once you put that spoiler up here, there's no going back without some pretty hefty tools. But here's the main attraction, the van itself. Very satisfying. Pull that up and see that work. You notice this metal in here? It's been reinforced from the original. You still cannot close this without closing the roof. Like so. But it stays. The primary stickers are all the same, with a few exceptions and additions from the original. So you can tell these apart and the decals come on. So there's no mistaking this for an original. Rolls great, feels sturdy. Let's take a look at a turtle inside. Let's get Mike off of his stand, get him in a seated pose. Takes a little bit of doing, but it can be done. A lot of people complain about this coming off, but it goes right back on and it snaps in place. So I'm not sure where the complaints are really coming from. You can also sit him there, although he's going to hit the roof. Probably easier to stand him up inside or back here. Now I've seen some reviews use a clear rubber band from inside the package to keep turtles in. I have a theory. I'm going to try a hair tie. Works just fine. And it's black, so it blends in with his belt. Let's see if it actually functions. All right, moment of truth. Doesn't work. You coax him, it goes right out. The problem is, you got to kind of turn him a little bit. And kind of turn him to his left here. But his arm still sticks out too much. So Mikey's probably not the best one to use because of that fact. As soon as I let go, he doesn't go. But it does work. May work different with other turtles, but that's my experience. So don't waste your time on those clear gummy things. Buy these. They're $2 and you get like 30 of them. Now I'm going to rebox it. Quick tip. Use some shiny Scotch tape that's thinner than what they use in the factory. You'll notice this is pretty thick. Resealed for display purposes without marring anything or putting anything in danger. In my case, for less than $90 shipped for all full turtles and the van, call it a win. Now, for the purposes of this review and overview, I almost bought the turtle blimp, but with the changes they've made to that blimp, specifically not having glider wings on the bottom part, I noped out. I just checked out. But I might change my mind when I have a room to display, because when it's fully blown up, that blimp does look very nice, if you get it on sale. For a relatively low investment, I am very happy with these as display figures. I love the way they look, as figures. I love the way the van looks and mostly the way it functions. Huge nostalgia, especially given the fact that I loved this figure line. It was one of the first figure lines that I actively sought when I had my own money, which makes it a very different piece of nostalgia in my collection. I never had a Party Wagon until now, and I love and appreciate that it's here. However, going to go to the trouble of updating the Party Wagon's, inner workings and the mechanisms, maybe you should consider including something that's truly meant as a permanent seat belt for that seat. Furthermore, maybe you should make sure that all the turtles in seated position fit through that opening for ease of use. While we're talking about updating, the weapons broke all the time back in '88 through the '90s. Maybe you should consider updating to the same weapons included with the Classics series or different, better formed weapons. Now, I understand that it would not be a one-to-one classic reissue, but I would easily forgive that if the quality were higher. I also would have paid an extra $5 for that to be the case. Normally, I would give that a little bit of a pass if there was a big 3D printing or repro, marketplace for the weapons to fit these particular turtles. And there's some stuff here and there, but nothing that's easily accessible, nor can I verify the scale being accurate. So it's something where I'm glad to have something that looks original for my own nostalgic purposes, but I'm not happy about not having weapons that actually display nicely. So if you caught the overarching theme, if you want prettier Ninja Turtles, go with the Classic series as far as I am concerned. Those 2-packs, if you look around, they have dropped in price a little bit to where you can get all 4 sets of 2 characters, so 8 figures for less than $150. And if that's the way to go, price-wise, it's difficult to say no to that given the relative quality of those sculpts and articulation. That said, if all you want are on-card turtle figures in an inbox Party Wagon, go with these and leave them in the package. You will not be disappointed. So what you want for turtles might vary. Your mileage may vary. I don't claim to know what you want. just saying, I love these. I will display these. I'm happy to have them, but the quest continues for the perfect turtles. I will begin to amass some retro Playmates turtles to go with these, various, different versions of the line. All the figures that I mentioned that I'm not a huge fan of the sculpt because I just want to have more of them. But as far as the mainstay turtles in my collection, the hunt continues, and I hope that classics will be that, provided they at least make Krang and Foot Soldiers, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Wish me luck. But enough about what I think. Tell me what you think. Are these worth displaying in or out of the package for you? Were you even a Turtles fan? And if you were, do you lean towards some of the newer stuff? Do you buy from, say, NECA? NECA. You'll notice I haven't mentioned NECA or Super 7 in this overview because I have no interest in any of those figures because of the quality control issues that seem to be prevalent in a lot of the figures that I have seen with my own eyes and or own with my own hands of those figures. And that's not even talking about the price. So pound for pound, dollar for dollar, Playmates is probably your thing, but if it's not your thing, tell me why. Tell me what you think they could be doing to further the line along, aside from not packaging them with random figures from Netflix series and things like that, which I still don't understand. If you're new here, you know how YouTube works. Please support the channel by clicking the right buttons. It really helps. We're trying to grow here as we approach our 1-year anniversary of toy collecting videos. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. For all of you, in the meantime, may all of your grinds be merry, may your card backs be straight, and may you be able to find anything you're looking for at any given time at a price you feel is reasonable, especially if it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figure. Yeesh. Special thanks to our patrons and members who you're seeing on the screen now. Thank you so much for your support. It really helps.